How did our prehistoric ancestors survive in a harsh and unforgiving world to endure? They underwent millions of years of continuous evolution. The open savanna offered very little food. This hunger forced a change in diet. They had to become the ultimate opportunists. Termite mound was not just soil, it was rich in fat, a reliable and abundant source of nutrition in a landscape of scarcity. The meal was only a temporary victory. Brain's demand for energy was relentless. A small triumph only fueled the need for the next, greater reward. Thick body hair, a relic of the past, had become a burden under the scorching sun. Bare skin was a bold evolutionary trade-off, allowing the body to cool through sweat, an unmatched mechanism for endurance. The ability to climb, a remnant from tree-dwelling ancestors, remained but was no longer advantageous. The new superiority was movement on the ground. Eggs were nutritional gold, dense, calorie-rich meals worth any risk. Eating raw food was a necessity, but limited the body's ability to extract energy. Foraging demanded intelligence. It was not impulsive, it was calculated. On the open plains, danger did not only lurk in the grass, it came from the sky. Prehistoric humans were not yet dominant. They were small, fragile, and part of the food chain. They were prey. pressure from massive predators drove intelligence and cooperation. Nowhere was truly safe. The ground belonged to predators, the sky to winged hunters. Even the water concealed ancient horrors. Every environment was a test of survival. Hunger is not merely discomfort, it is a crisis of motivation. Energy is not a choice, it is a tactical imperative. Hypothermia, too, is an invisible and immediate enemy. Survival depends on the ability to exploit every opportunity. But exploitation demands strategy. The act of smearing mud on the body is not instinct. It is a step forward in cognition. It reflects abstract thinking. They can be seen. Mud has the color of the environment. If they wear mud, they become invisible. This is not a planned hunt by an apex predator. It is a desperate ambush by an opportunist. The physical struggle emphasizes a brutal truth. Without claws or fangs, killing is dirty, dangerous, and requires direct contact. Eating raw meat provides essential fats and proteins, but it is tough, hard to chew, and filled with pathogens. The digestive system works overtime to process it, limiting the actual energy absorbed. This is a temporary solution, not a sustainable one. Exhaustion is as dangerous as any predator. The biological need for sleep is a calculated risk, creating a window of complete vulnerability. The instinct to seek refuge in trees is an ancient behavior, carved by millions of years of arboreal life. It is a strategy to avoid ground predators. But the dangers of this world are not limited to large vertebrates. This is the age of giant invertebrates. A venomous bite brings a threat the body has no defense against. The speed of the venom's effect reveals the body's fragility. No immunity, no antibodies. The biological system is simply overwhelmed. This is the ultimate expression of nature's hostility. Even the smallest creatures can kill. The most profound encounters are not with beasts, but with others of one's kind. In a world without laws, a stranger is the ultimate unknown, a potential ally, a rival, or a killer. Toolkit defines the role. A digging stick and a carrying pouch are the instruments of a gatherer. This shows division of labor, a strategy where individuals specialize to maximize the tribe's total energy intake. But the most valuable tool is invisible: knowledge. Recognizing a specific plant at a glance is not luck. It is the result of experience, learned and passed on through foraging. Use of an antidote is one of the first and most important acts of community care. It is a deliberate intervention against certain death, a clear sign of abstract reasoning, and perhaps empathy. Facial expression is the primary language. A bared set of teeth is not yet a smile of joy. It is a gesture of appeasement, a signal of peace and non-aggression. External threats from predators become the ultimate unifier. They reinforce a simple truth: two are stronger than one. Ironically, vulnerability becomes the catalyst for the first bond. Night brings two enemies: cold and predators. Finding shelter is the top priority for survival. Small rock cavity offers protection from the elements, but is too cramped to defend. Cooperation begins immediately. This is not instinctive coordination, it is conscious problem solving. The male acts with brute force. The female acts with strategy and tools. She does not try to move the rock. She identifies the weak point of the barrier and reinforces it with another material: thorny branches. The result is a defensive structure, a combination of strength and ingenuity. Within minutes, they build a fortress. External threats do not break them, they bind them. Their first true safety has been created. This is the birth of symbolic language. The sound ochre is not the leaf itself. It is an abstract idea representing the leaf. When the male understands the game and then joins, pointing at the centipede and uttering a sound, grak, it proves that both minds share the capacity for symbolic thought.
Oka. Grak. Grak.
is a relentless selective pressure. The need for fire is urgent. Fire is not only warmth, it is light, protection from predators, and the key to unlocking nutrition. The hand friction method is a known technique, but it has biological limits. It demands strength, speed, and dexterity that an injured body cannot provide. Failure is not an inconvenience. It is a matter of life and death. Frustration is an emotional reaction to a technical problem beyond immediate solution. It shows the will to survive, even when the body refuses to obey. Innovation is born from failure. The female observes the problem. The issue is not friction, it is speed and stability. Creating the bow drill is a moment of genius. It is a tool that operates another tool, a second-order instrument. It overcomes the body's limitations. It no longer depends on delicate hand movements. It uses the strong back and forth motion of the arms to produce greater rotational speed. Requires cooperation. One holds the spindle, the other draws the bow. This is the result of a systematic technical process, a deliberate innovation born from shared intelligence. They have conquered fire. Fire instantly transforms life. It brings warmth, dispels the cold, and stabilizes the body. The habit of eating raw meat is deeply ingrained. The female's act of stopping the male is not rejection, it is the suggestion of a new process. Breaks down rigid fibers and tough muscle, softening the meat and making it easier to chew. It also neutralizes pathogens and parasites, drastically reducing disease. The intestines expend less energy digesting food, dramatically increasing nutrient absorption. Fire becomes an external stomach. The surplus energy has only one destination, the most energy-hungry organ, the brain. Cooking is not just culture, it is the direct catalyst for intelligence. Sharing a cooked meal around the fire strengthens bonds within the group. The fire becomes the center of life, the shelter, the kitchen, and the first fortress. Stone tools are not a single idea, they are a sequence of innovations. The search for raw materials, flint, reveals a deep understanding of geology. They know where to find the right stone. Two distinct knapping techniques emerge, possibly reflecting labor division or different tool traditions. The male uses the hard hammer technique, relying on brute strength, striking the core with a heavy rock. It is fast and efficient, producing sharp but rough flakes. The female uses the soft hammer or pressure flaking method. She applies controlled force using an organic tool, such as antler. This is precision, not strength. It allows full control, producing sharper, thinner, more symmetrical edges, a spearhead. Attaching a stone blade to a wooden shaft marks a conceptual leap. It creates a composite tool, a device made of multiple parts. The first attempt fails. Sinew bindings cannot withstand the impact force. The solution lies in combining materials, tree resin and charcoal. It requires the understanding that mixing and heating them produces a new substance with superior properties. The result is a prehistoric adhesive, a thermoplastic resin. Together with sinew, it forms an incredibly strong bond. The spear now focuses all impact force into a single razor-sharp point, capable of piercing thick hides. This is one of humanity's most important inventions. The new weapon enables new hunting strategies. Prey are fast and alert. A simple chase would fail. What follows is a planned hunt. It is not chance, it is coordination. They use terrain and wind direction. They split up. Female acts as the driver, deliberately making noise to cause panic. The male becomes the ambusher, relying on camouflage and patience. This tactic requires extraordinary trust and understanding. Both must anticipate the prey's behavior and each other's actions without direct communication. Thrust is deliberate, using the full weight of the body to maximize the spear's penetration. The hunt succeeds not through speed, but through intelligence and cooperation. A successful large hunt creates a new problem, the problem of surplus. There is too much food to consume at once. In a hot world, meat rots quickly and attracts competitors almost immediately. The scavenger's instinct is to gorge and abandon. The female's action marks a profound shift. She is thinking beyond the present. She is planning for tomorrow. This is future-oriented cognition. Food preservation becomes essential. Slicing the meat into thin strips is the first step. It increases surface area for drying. Sun drying fails for one reason: insects. Hanging the meat over smoke, letting the heat and fumes from the fire dry and sterilize it, is a breakthrough. It both dries and disinfects. The result is dried meat, a portable, durable, stable food source. When the next hunt fails, they do not starve. They are eating food from the past. They have created storage, the first insurance against nature's uncertainty. In the prehistoric world, a severe injury such as a broken bone was a death sentence. An individual unable to move could not hunt or flee, a life already lost. Community care reaches a new level. Carrying the injured back to safety is an immense, risky investment of energy. The female faces a medical problem that herbs cannot solve. Venom is a chemical issue. A fracture is a mechanical one. Her solution is a radical physical intervention. Resetting the bone is a deliberate act, an understanding of structure. She is repairing the body. Creating a splint is a technical invention, a man-made structure that stabilizes the skeleton, allowing natural healing to take place. Meat provides bursts of energy, but plants, roots, and seeds offer steady nutrition. The problem with foraging is low yield. One can carry only what fits in their hands. This creates an energy bottleneck for the entire group. Gathering pliable reeds and beginning to weave is the solution. Weaving is a repetitive, transformative process. It turns fragile strands into a solid, three-dimensional structure. The result is a hands-free carrying tool. A single gatherer can now bring back 5 or 10 times more food. Dramatically improves foraging efficiency, freeing time and strength for other tasks. Active hunting, chasing prey, consumes immense energy and often fails. The innovation here is passive hunting, a fundamental shift from strength to intelligence. It demands complex ecological knowledge, tracking skills, understanding prey behavior, where they move, the height of their heads. Traps are designed to store and release energy, potential energy in bent branches, or gravity in a heavy rock. Once set, the trap hunts on their behalf. This allows them to multiply their presence, to be in many places at once, saving precious energy while securing a steady food supply. Individual knowledge is fragile. If the female dies, her entire experience dies with her. Her actions are a desperate attempt to transfer wisdom. She cannot go gather the medicine. She must teach. There is no time for trial and error. She uses symbolic communication, a drawing. It is an instruction, a map. The male's journey is a test. He must hold an abstract image in his mind, compare it with reality, and identify the correct object. When he succeeds, knowledge is transmitted. It is no longer hers alone, it belongs to them. Knowledge within the group has become durable, a vital step toward long-term survival. The new shelter provides something the old one did not: permanence. And with permanence comes the birth of lasting memory. Painting on the cave wall is a major evolutionary leap. It transfers inner memory into an external record. These images are not decorations, they are archives of knowledge. When the female adds her own story, the centipede and salvation, they are no longer two individuals with separate histories. Their narratives are merging. The wall has become an external brain, recording dangers, solutions, and shared history. This is the dawn of symbolic communication, the origin of writing. A massive storm exposes the fatal weakness of their shelter. It is exposed. Fear of the dark is a primal instinct, deeply engraved in the species. Darkness means unseen danger. The decision to enter the crevice is a struggle between instinct fear and reason seeking safety. The torch becomes the tool that allows reason to prevail. The underground world is entirely different, a limestone cavern. It is stable, untouched by weather. The air is still, the temperature constant. This is the perfect refuge, protection from storms, predators, and a steady supply of groundwater. The male's act of returning to persuade the female marks a reversal. This darkness is not danger. It is safety. In the silence of night, a new form of communication emerges, one not meant to convey information, but emotion. The making of a flute is a deliberate act, transforming a material into a controlled sound-producing tool. Music directly affects the brain's emotional centers. It synchronizes moods within the group, soothes tension, and strengthens bonds. It is art for art's sake, a sign of a mind that has evolved beyond mere survival. After music, another symbolic form emerges: personal adornment. Chosen objects are not random. They are trophies: the eagle's claw, the centipede's fang. These are powerful symbols of the deadly dangers they have survived. Drilling holes and wearing them transforms a keepsake into a marker of identity. When they exchange them, the act becomes deeply meaningful, a public acknowledgement of shared history and mutual dependence. They are wearing each other's stories. Leisure is a new state, purchased through safety and relative abundance. The mind is no longer entirely occupied with survival. Throwing stones becomes a game. Games are structured learning. They are practice of essential skills in a harmless setting. The sideways throw refines motor precision. The cry of triumph is not a feral roar, it is joy. Play strengthens bonds in ways that work and danger cannot. It builds connection through shared happiness. The night sky is the first map. For a developing mind, the chaos of stars slowly organizes into pattern. The brain is a pattern-finding machine. The female identifies one, a fixed cluster in the southern sky. They have created a compass. This ability is an invaluable navigation tool. They can now travel by night, across vast unknown lands, anchoring their reality to the cosmos. Migration encounters a barrier, a raging river. The current is too strong to wade through. Fertile land beyond is an irresistible pull. The problem, the tree trunk is too heavy to move by sheer strength. The solution arises from understanding the discovery of the lever principle. They immediately apply this abstract principle on a large scale. The lever multiplies their strength, allowing them to lift the unliftable. But they go further. They combine the lever with another invention, the roller. They turn sliding friction into rolling friction, reducing resistance dramatically. Building the bridge is engineering. It requires planning, sequence, and sustained cooperation. They do not merely cross an obstacle, they reshape the world to their will. A strange smell of smoke and a dead fire pit. Undeniable evidence. Examining warm ashes is an act of reasoning. Still warm means recent. Recent means near. But the most alarming discovery is the footprint. It is not from an animal. It belongs to another species like them. In a world without defined territories, another group is not a neighbor. They are competitors for food, water, shelter. The encounter confirms their fear. The strange group looks different, perhaps another branch of the species. Their behavior is opportunistic aggression. They are not strategic hunters, but bullies, relying on numbers and brute violence. The male's reaction is primitive. He sees prey and wants to seize it. His individual aggression. The female's decision defines the outcome.
Crack!
She covers his mouth, reason suppressing instinct. Withdrawal becomes a tactical choice. Intelligence does not always mean to fight. Using fire for hunting is strategic, but in the dry season, it is perilous. Once fire escapes control, it becomes a storm, a natural force, a weather event. Its speed outpaces all living creatures.
Run!
The air burns, oxygen drains away. Predator and prey become equal before the flames, an absolute, instant selective pressure. In the face of certain death, a brilliant idea emerges. The solution is not escape, but confrontation. Creating a new fire directly ahead of the firestorm is an act of counterintuitive genius. The female understands fire's essence. It needs fuel. By burning the grass in front of them, she creates a burned buffer zone, a safe island where nothing remains to ignite. The world has turned into another planet. Everything is gone: shelter, tools, food. It is a complete reset. Confronted with total loss, the psychological response is collapse. But disaster also brings opportunity. The ecosystem is destroyed, but it exposes food. Finding charred animals, slow creatures unable to escape, provides immediate nourishment. Sharing a piece of cooked meat amid the ashes is an affirmation of life. The environment is erased, but their unity endures. They will begin again, not empty-handed, but with experience. Amid destruction, a vital discovery is made. The burned basket reveals its contents, seeds that have been roasted, not destroyed. They are food. But the true revelation happens at the water's edge. The same kind of seeds, scattered earlier, have sprouted. Their minds connect the two events. Seeds are food. Seeds in wet soil become plants. The deliberate act of taking seeds and placing them into moist earth marks a change in mindset. They are no longer merely finding food. They are creating food. They are sowing. They are becoming cultivators. Water cannot be stored in woven baskets. The discovery of clay is a revelation of material. Soft when wet, but useless in its raw form. Shaping a bowl is sculpture. But the real innovation comes from a deliberate accident. Placing the wet clay bowl near the fire is an act of curiosity. Extreme heat permanently transforms the clay from soft earth into hardened ceramic. They can now carry water and even heat it. This marks another great leap in harnessing energy from food. Art moves from cave walls to the body itself. Mixing pigment, ochre, with binder, fat, is an act with no survival purpose. When the female paints her body, it is not camouflage, it is declaration. She chooses a symbol, the medicinal leaf, to represent her knowledge and role. It is her identity. When she paints him, she does not hide his scar, she honors it. She turns a mark of injury into a symbol of survival. Smoke from their shelter is a signal, a sign of life, but also a beacon for rivals. The attack is a war for resources. The invaders seek not territory, but what lies within: fire, tools, and the female. The battle unfolds in confined space. Superior tools decide the outcome. The heavy club of the strangers is brute force. The spear is precision, piercing and lethal. The female does not fight with strength, but with intellect. She uses flint stones as projectiles and turns their own weapon, fire, against them. Their victory is not of muscle, but of intellect, coordination, and the fierce defense of home. Conflict between groups has now become a new evolutionary force. The battle ends. One enemy remains alive. The male's instinct is clear: eliminate the threat. A world of kill or be killed. There are no prisoners. The female's act comes from altruism.
No.
Healing the enemy is counterintuitive and profoundly complex. It shows the ability to see the individual behind the role of enemy.
Krak.
It is empathy extended beyond one's own group. Sparing his life may be a tactical mistake, but it marks the birth of a new idea: mercy. A complex behavior that will reshape the future. Eating replenishes energy, but the act that follows restores the spirit. Music returns, but this time with rhythm. Rhythm has powerful neurological effects. It drives movement. Dance becomes physical release, a way to process and discharge the energy of battle. It is ritual. They celebrate survival, reinforce their bond after trauma, and together, reassert control over their space. After the ritual, the mind turns to reflection. The male gazes upon the cave paintings. They are no longer mere memories, they are symbols of power. The eagle is not just a bird, it is a force that nearly killed him. Placing food beneath the image is a symbolic act. He is not feeding the bird, he is interacting with the idea of the bird. This is the dawn of belief, the first attempt to understand and influence invisible forces, not with tools, but with ritual and reverence. He is beginning to negotiate with the universe. The air, purified by ritual and faith, becomes intimate. Glowing embers create warmth and safety. Their interaction has changed. It is no longer driven by survival, tools, or danger. The reaching hand is not to seize or shape, but to connect. Her acceptance of the touch is pure trust. Their gestures, wiping soot, touching each other's symbols, are acts of care and affection. Mating in this species is no longer just reproduction. It is reinforced by all that came before: trust, interdependence, and cooperation. Affection has evolved to ensure that two individuals remain together for life. Time passes. Life finds rhythm again. The sprouting millet is the fruition of an idea. Tools, pottery and baskets are being refined. Repetition breeds mastery. The change within the female's body marks a biological milestone. Their bond is no longer only social, it has become genetic. They are a family. The female's mind wrestles with a new abstract concept, measuring time. She observes a predictable cycle, the moon. Etching a line into a bone is an invention. Each mark represents one lunar cycle. They are counting. They are tracking pregnancy. They are using symbols notches to record astronomical cycles of the moon to predict a biological event birth. It is an astonishing convergence of scientific and abstract thinking. The safety of their shelter has been permanently compromised. The threat from the strange tribe is constant. The decision to migrate is strategic, not a panicked escape. They begin a planned journey, guided by accumulated knowledge, toward a safer future of their own choosing. They do not leave empty-handed. They carry with them their entire culture. They bring pottery tools. They carry seeds stored in woven baskets. They bring weapons and water. They carry memory, knowledge, and the future. Their migration faces a vast expanse of water. For the male, the sea is a psychological barrier. For the female, detouring is impossible. Her condition demands urgency. The pressure to cross is immense. The solution comes from remnants of past disaster, dry logs from the firestorm. Building the raft is an engineering challenge greater than the bridge. It must not only bear weight, it must float and remain stable. requires understanding buoyant force. When the female steps onto the raft first, it is an act of absolute trust, not in the male, but in the tool they created. Her courage overcomes his hesitation. As they push off from shore, they have invented maritime technology. They have conquered an entirely new environment. Fog brings disorientation. On water, they are no longer atop the food chain. They are vulnerable. When the pole no longer touches the bottom, they have entered the realm of new predators. The shadow beneath the surface awakens primal fear. Once again, the female's reason triumphs over instinct. She pulls him down, understanding that fighting is futile. She points to her belly. The message is clear. The unborn child's survival outweighs honor. They must flee. The shift from spear to paddle marks a change, from aggression to strategic endurance. They row frantically, betting everything on their tool and their resolve. A violent storm turns the environment into an active enemy. The raft, a triumph of engineering, is pushed to its limit. The male fights to preserve its structure, using sheer strength to keep it from breaking apart. They struggle desperately to save their creation. Their cooperation alone keeps the fragile raft from disintegration. The loss of fire is catastrophic, along with warmth, light, and safety. The male's reaction is paralysis, hope extinguished. They share body heat, protecting the unborn child. Their survival through the night depends on preserved food. They are sustained by foresight, by the fruits of past preparation. Once again, the female turns to the stars. She finds the constellation, then the mountain ridge. She reorients them. They are no longer adrift. They have direction again. They have crossed a great body of water. This is the mechanism of migration, the force that spread humanity across the planet. new land is a new world, an unfamiliar biome. The rules of the savannah no longer apply. Every plant, every hunting method must be relearned. They arrive not as wanderers, but as bearers of portable culture. He carries weapons. She carries seeds. And she carries shards of pottery. The bowl itself is broken, but the idea of pottery endures. The new land brings an ecosystem they never imagined, the intertidal zone. Exploiting marine resources is a radical adaptation. Shellfish are strange, yet abundant. They do not move, but they are protected. The flint knife is immediately repurposed, not for cutting, but for prying. The salty taste carries vital minerals and iodine, micronutrients rare in land. This food source is alien yet rich, predictable with the tides, and profoundly nourishing. They are learning to live at the edge of two worlds. Dependence on fire is now absolute. Without it, the sea's cold becomes lethal. Their old fire-making tools fail in this new environment: humid air, salted wood. Tools depend on context. The distant smell of smoke confirms they are not alone. Other groups have mastered fire here. The male's decision is reconnaissance and theft, not for conflict, but for a single coal. Carrying the ember in a broken pottery shard is ingenious, using an old tool for a new purpose. Their fire is rekindled, not by friction, but from another flame. Shelter, fire, and relative safety are restored. The female's pain begins, a biological inevitability. The male panics. He cannot comprehend this process. Tries old solutions, water, comfort, but none apply. When the scream erupts, instinct takes over. To him, it is the sound of pain, of attack. He assumes the role of protector, turning his back to defend against unseen threats. Then comes silence, followed by a new sound, the cry of a newborn. The existence of this child is the reason their bond had to be so strong. He kneels. The first touch connects him to the next generation. The cycle of life begins anew.